Hello everyone, Sandra Madaffrey. Let's try this again. This is take two. And you know, the video that I'm wanting to do today is about dealing with disappointment, and let me tell you, there's been a couple of funny things been going on lately with the internet and other things like that. But here I am again. I hope everyone is having a great Wednesday afternoon. I just wanted to jump on to do this live today because it's been a very interesting last couple of days. I live in Melbourne and we have gone into stage 3 lockdown and possibly stage 4 coming up this week. And I've had a lot of SOSs from people wanting to have a chat with me about dealing with what's coming up with them. And one of the biggest things that I'm finding at the moment that is coming up for them is lots of disappointment. It's very difficult even for me to be sitting here with having one expectation once we came out of isolation the first time, and having to go back in, having to re-cancel my NLP training for a later date that I don't even know when it's going to happen, and all those sorts of things. So what I wanted to do today was to jump on and talk a little bit about what is disappointment and how you can avoid it to the best of your ability. Sometimes you can't. When something is outside of yourself, you cannot avoid something. So for instance, at the moment here in Melbourne, we're in isolation. We cannot avoid what's going on. It is disappointing, but how we deal with it, which is most important. And this morning I was speaking to a client who actually said to me I should create a quote out of what I said to her, which was that you can either make blip out of the circumstances or you can turn it into gold. So at any moment, no matter what happens to us, we have the choice to react or respond in a certain way. And yet I'm not making light on what's going on at the moment. It is a very difficult situation for everybody, and like I said, very difficult for me, as all my clients have had to go online. All my training has had to be postponed or put online. So there's lots of things that are happening at the moment. So it's really important that you are able to deal with the disappointment. And I'm hoping to give you some tips and things that you can either avoid disappointment, or when things are out of your control, that you can deal with them. So what is disappointment? To start with, disappointment is the misjudging of a situation or an event, or things not turning out how you had planned. And definitely at the moment, things are not turning out how we had planned, and it is completely out of our control, and there's not a lot that we can do about it. We cannot change what's going on. So part of being able to manage your disappointment, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to accept that we cannot change what's going on. Now, in that acceptance, I'm not saying that you are not allowed to feel a certain way or you're not allowed to have opinions. Absolutely you can, but you need to accept that the fact is that we cannot change what's going on out there. So acceptance, you need to start first and foremost with acceptance. And anyone who's watching this video on my YouTube channel, there is a live that I did a couple of months ago when we first got into the first lockdown about acceptance, and I really urge you to go ahead and watch that. And there's a few people watching. I'm going live in 2 places. Please comment if you're on here. I'd love to know that you're here. So that's the first thing, okay, is to accept what's going on, but also not to push away your feelings and your thoughts, because this is one of the worst things that we can do, is to actually push away what we're feeling. What we resist persists. So it's really important to actually sit in the acceptance and to ask yourself, what is it that is actually going on for me, and not pushing it away. One of the ways that you can manage your expectations, if this is something that happens for you quite often, and this has got nothing to do with COVID because it's outside of ourselves, But if you are a person that gets disappointed quite a bit, one of the things that you need to look at is to manage your expectation. Are you aiming too high, or are you being unrealistic in those expectations that you're setting for yourself? Something to really consider. We live in a society which asks us to always be aiming high, to maintain a certain level, a certain standard, and that can sometimes create a situation where you actually create, areas of your life, situations in your life where the expectations are way beyond what is you're going to be able to achieve. So it's really, really important that you have a look at that and ask yourself, are my expectations a little bit too high? And do you expect perfection? Perfection is not something, it's unrealistic. It just does not exist. So are you setting these incredibly high expectations for yourself that are just too unrealistic and too perfection, are giving you the stress because you're wanting to be perfect? Because what happens here, it's not about the disappointment itself, it's about how you're reacting to all of this. So if you're constantly finding yourself in getting disappointed by other people or things in your life, are you being unrealistic? You really need to have a look at. And I always say that people cannot live up to your expectations, because people are not you, and you set your expectations or what you expect from others according to your filters, and other people cannot have your filters because they are not you. Okay? The other thing you need to remember, and especially right now as we're going through COVID, is that the things that are happening right now are not going to last forever. Yeah, it's very disappointing. It's very upsetting in a lot of senses that we are here in Melbourne, especially our COVID numbers are out of control, and we are stuck at home for the foreseeable future, and it is very disappointing. If you had plans, I mean, I had some mega plans this year. I was going to do my first overseas retreat, but you know what? It is what it is. I have to accept that, and if I sit in that place constantly of disappointment, I'm never going to get out of it. So it's really important that you acknowledge, I've acknowledged what I'm feeling, I've acknowledged the fact that I'm really disappointed, I've acknowledged why that is, and then I've moved on from it, because I haven't sat there and resisted it. I've accepted it. This is what it is. I can't change it. And if you can't change something, then there's no point sitting there trying to, or feeling those feelings of disappointment. The best thing to do is to pivot. And I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can actually change your state when you are in disappointment quite quickly. Okay? So I already said one of the first things to do is you need to accept it. You need to acknowledge what you're feeling. You need to understand and go deeper into that feeling. And it's okay to allow yourself to feel like that. A lot of people say that you have to change the way you feel and push it out. It's no good to wallow in the disappointment, but it's definitely okay to understand what it is that you're disappointed about and how that has impacted on what's important to you or your values. How has it impacted? And then how can we change things? If you cannot change the situation as you had planned it, how can you pivot it and change it to something else which is similar? And for me, I've now put a lot of my trainings online, which in actual fact what's happened is it's actually been better, because I've had people that would not normally be able to train with me online because they're overseas or interstate. Okay. The other thing I want you to remember as you're going through this process is that disappointment always exists outside your comfort zone. Now, the reason for that is because you actually don't know what to expect. And usually when we go to step out of our comfort zone, or we're in an uncomfortable situation, we don't know what's going to happen. So you really don't know which way it's going to go. So you will create an expectation for yourself which might then fall through, and it might not work out the way you want to, and that's okay. That's not a problem, because what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, what did I learn from this? So lots of people that I've spoken to over the last couple of months who have been through isolation, a lot of them have been able to learn lots of things. So step out of that disappointment that you're feeling and, you know, have that more of that observer feeling about it. You know, what have you seen? Look at it from the outside. What did you learn? And one of the things that I've learned is to actually adapt my courses, which now I'm going to keep running online, to be able to use social media at a level that I never thought I could. So there's always something to learn, and always something good comes out of every bad situation. Some of the ways that you can change that feeling and get yourself out of that very quickly is to focus on the good things in your life. Practice the attitude of gratitude. So rather than focusing on all the things that are going wrong at the moment, focus on all the things that are going well. So, you know, yes, I'm disappointed I can't teach some of my big trainings in person, but I've been able to teach them online, and I'm grateful because there's people that would never have been able to access them are now being able to access them. One of the quickest ways to change your state and that feeling of being disappointed is to move your body. Go for a walk, exercise, even just get up from where you're sitting and just walk around for a few minutes. You know, move, stretch your body, just move your body around. Stop and also stop and do some really big, nice belly breaths and refocus yourself. So that's another great one. Talk to someone about it. If you're finding that you're really, really stuck in this situation and you're finding it really difficult to pull yourself out on your own, there's a lot of help around. So find someone who you can talk to, and that could be anyone. Just, you know, allow yourself to express and feel the emotions that you're feeling at that time. Okay, and then the other thing that you can do is to refocus what you're disappointed about. Learn what you had to learn from it and look at how you can pivot and refocus. So it's really important at these really trying times, especially, like I said, if you're in Melbourne, and like I said to my client today, we have two options. Unfortunately, we cannot change what's happening. We cannot change what happened. So we're all disappointed, but we can either sit and wallow in it and create an absolute mess and frazzle for ourselves and stress ourselves out, or we can choose to look at it as an observer point of view with curiosity of how can we do things differently to change our situation, because that is really all you can do. So I know I've posted the infogram before on my Facebook page. It says, situation, can you do something about it? No. Okay, then you have to accept it. Can you do something about it? Yes. Then change it. That's all you can do. So right now, when something is outside of you, we cannot control what's happening. You can only control whether you react to what's going on and make things really difficult for yourself, because that's all that's going to happen. If you react to things that are going on, it's just you're going to stress yourself out, or you're going to respond and do something slightly different, whether it is something as simple as going for a walk or reaching out for help to change the way you're feeling at that present moment. So that's it for me today, guys. I know it's a really difficult and trying time at the moment. Unfortunately, it is what it is. We cannot change what's happening in our world, but we can change how we react to what's happening in our world. Have a great day, everyone, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Bye for now.